Good morning, Chairman Chow and Chairman Dadu. My name is Carol Ornelas, and I'm with Visionary Home Builders, the CEO, and have been working in Stockton, California, in the Central Valley for the last 30 years. Visionary Home Builders is a HUD-certified housing counseling agency as well as a developer of both multifamily and single-family housing. Coming from Stockton, where foreclosures were #1 in the state, you can only imagine what a mess homeownership was in our city. Not only did we see thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of families losing their homes, how do you bounce back from such devastation? Well, Visionary set out to look at, what was happening, because definitely we were a developer of single-family housing, and we built over 1,000 units. And when the foreclosure crisis happened, we went back to see what was happening to the borrowers that had built or bought homes in our community, and we saw a very low percentage. I think it was less than 1% of the families that have bought homes through our program had lost their homes. Why? What was the difference? The huge difference we credited to was the fact that every family attended a home ownership training course, an 8-hour course, got their certificate, learned what it was to be a homeowner. Second, no homeowner was paying more than 30% of their income towards housing, and most of the units did have down payment subsidy. So what happened to the rest of the city? Well, I think you all heard, there was a lot of different types of loans out there that really families did not qualify for and could not truly afford the homes that they were buying. So how do you get a community that's been devastated by such devastation of families losing their homes, and young folks and old folks and seniors, as we heard, from Empire, one of our another area that was hit so hard, and what was this massive devastation that took place in the community. We actually developed what was called the blueprint to foreclosure recovery. And part of this was we knew we needed to get back home ownership in our community. But how do you work with people that have lost their home, filed bankruptcy, now destroyed their credit, and there was an element of no hope? We decided that it was time to bring hope back into our community, and we designed what was called an option to own program. This program is designed to help low and moderate income families or individuals who suffered hardship from a foreclosure, bankruptcy, or credit issues to re-enter the home ownership market in a relatively short period of time. In addition, the program targeted a new generation of first-time home buyers looking to enter the housing market, but who still needed a program like an option to own, so they'd have time to save or to help them to clean up their minor credit issues. What did this program look like? Because we were a HUD-certified housing counseling agency, not only do we have counselors trained in foreclosure counseling, but first-time home buyers, education. For Visionary, we'd been in the first-time home buyer education for over 20 years, so this was nothing new to us to make sure that our families and our communities were getting the help and education they needed. What came out of this foreclosure? One of the things that I could truly say that we saw is that people did not understand money. If you understood money, then you probably wouldn't be in the mess that many of our families were in. So definitely a key component was the financial education, and then what did it mean to be a first-time home buyer? So if you walked into our company, you were assigned a housing coach or housing counselor. They did an assessment of where the family was at. Families after foreclosure needed everything from finding good rental housing to even looking at health, because health was very much destroyed during this period of time. Many things happened to the family. So we assessed what the family needed in order to help them to bounce back. We also began to talk with the family about a budget or spending plan. Many people don't like the word budget because that means you have to do something, but a spending plan, how do you use your money? The next part of this was a savings plan. How do we develop a savings plan? Because if you were interested in this program, at the end of the program, you were going to need some down payment in order to buy the home that you had chosen. We did a credit analysis. We had a cutoff of about 520, knowing that over a 42-month period, we would probably be able to help the family raise their FICO score. So we definitely did the credit analysis. You were set up on your education plan. Part of going through this program, not only were you going to do the 8-hour counseling, but you were going to be meeting with your coach quarterly, and then there was a series of different components of everywhere from financial education to what do you do with the escrow person, different levels of what you were going to need for home ownership. Once that you became qualified to go into this program, one of the nice carrots of this, because we did have so many houses in our community, we would rather see people living in them than boarded up. The family had the right to choose a home, and then we would try to negotiate them, or if they were one of ours in our portfolio, because we were part of the NSP, the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, we were able to purchase homes, and we were able to renovate them and also put families in to these homes. So we were actively purchasing homes. So the family was able to look at our homes or go out into the community and look at the community where they wanted to live. And then we would purchase it and then renovate it. And this became the home that the family entered into an option agreement to purchase this home. So we helped them choose the right home, making sure that it was in their affordable range where they would not pay more than 30% of their income. We assessed the conditions of the homes because if you remember during foreclosure, heavy-duty foreclosure, houses were stripped of copper, were stripped of appliances, were stripped of anything that could be taken out of the home. So we assessed the condition of the home, made sure that we could renovate the house and purchase the home and still the family qualify for the home. We were able to secure conventional dollars to be able to participate in this program because we knew that the lending institutions were very hard on purchasing power or even borrowing money for single-family homes. So we were able to get local participation in order to come up with 65% of the funds we were going to need to develop, to buy and renovate the homes. And then we were able to secure county and city funds to cover the additional 35% in order to complete the 100% that we were going to need to purchase and renovate the project. So once the family was qualified, identified the home, and it was prepared, we entered into a rental agreement for 42 months. The participant only paid 30% of their gross income. They entered into the lease, which said you need to pay your rent and maintain the home. During that period of time, the rent covered the principal and interest, the property taxes, homeowners insurance, water and sewer, maintenance, and a housing counseling fee. Part of the rent, if the family paid their rent as an incentive, we were able to credit back to the family $100 each month. So by the time the family moved into their home, they had saved nearly $5,000 just from paying their rent on time. We were able to get the Federal Home Loan Bank, the AHP program, which has what is known as wish funds, to include anybody that participated in a rent-to-own program where they would match the monies that the families had saved. So a lot of the counseling was also around the earned income tax credits that families received, and we're spoken to them about during this period of time, if you save $500 to $1,000 and you had $5,000 at the end of your 42 months, the Federal Home Loan Bank program would match it 3 times. So now the family had almost $20,000 to use towards their down payment of their house when it came time to closing their home. So at the end, when you went through the 42 months, we have our first families that are graduating actually this month. So we're really excited to have this successes behind us of the ones that entered 42 months ago. The applicants have completed the program. They've applied for their first mortgage. They received down payment assistance, and many of our borrowers' cases, they were able to save enough to receive the $20,000, and then the programs that we used through the city and the county had an additional $10,000 down payment assistance, and so the families had nearly $30,000 to close on their homes. So, the families learn budgeting, learn home ownership. Afterwards, they're part of a post-closing home ownership classes where, how do you maintain the home after you've purchased the home and you're into your home, and, how do you maintain it so you're a successful home buyer. Their security deposits were refunded back to them. Their lease option dollars were refunded back to them. The program has been quite successful in our community. We needed a way. We needed a way to bounce back, because when you were #1 in the nation, it was not a place you wanted to remain and stay forever. And so this is one of the programs that, through our agency, we were able to help first-time home buyers re-enter the market, as well as if you had troubles with your credit or bankruptcy, which many, many families faced during the foreclosure. Thank you, and if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Asturias, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Chair. No, I think in the effort to provide some brevity, I'll just be available for any questions.
Questions or comments? Let's go with Ms. Brown first.
Ms. Brown, ladies first.
Lady first. What a gentleman. Thank you.
Mr. Sazin, you did raise your hand first. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. It sounds like a wonderful, wonderful program. Wanted to ask you, how many families, this is the end of the 42 months now? Okay. How many families were able to secure housing?
Well, because they came in at different times, the program is an ongoing program. Initially, when we started, the first that have completed 42 months, we have 10 that are graduating into home ownership.
Okay, now you said that they're in a rental program for 42 months. Are they living in this house that they eventually purchased?
Yes. What happens is that when they become...
Can you talk into the mic? Okay. Thank you.
What happens is that when they become part of this program, they go out and choose their home, and we fix it up, and in turn we rent it back to them. And so while they're renting through the lease, they are actually continuing to be part of the program, and we're monitoring them on a quarterly basis. So they've already chosen their home, so there's great incentives for them to remain in there. You can do what you want with the lawn. You can do pretty much what you need to do in the inside, because we wanted the families to feel this is your home, and if you work towards this goal, it's yours.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Councilmember Chachin.
Yes, thank you. When you said you entered the market, how do you come up with the price? Is it appraised value?
It's appraised value. We did some calculations. We pretty much stayed on the lower end because, our market was not climbing very high because it had stood, I mean, it fell. It totally collapsed. And that period of time, we were buying homes for less than $100,000. And so we just put an inflation factor and not a very high because we figured it wouldn't stabilize in 42 months. And our notion was correct. You know, we're still not quite stabilized in the Central Valley, but we have seen a slight rise. So we really didn't have to go in and adjust the first families that are moving into their home because they're right there at the market.
Has there been any change, any occasions where before people go through foreclosure, you take over? Any understanding within bank and the mortgage people? Has there been any situations you were able to get in and just take over the payments? And
we tried, and you know, the bank had so many regulations against that. You know, our goal, because we saw the families, we wanted to work with the families to stay in their homes, but there's, you know, they quote you that they cannot remain in the home. They have to be displaced, and they cannot. We could not salvage that home and let the family stay there. That was just the regulations at that time, and that was very unfortunate because that would have been the right thing to do.
it will save everybody a lot of headache, and
Yes, it would have.
it won't affect their credibility as well.
It would have, because most of the families that we saw said if they could just keep the payments where they were at, they could make those payments. It's just that with all those balloon payments, you know, the housing payments went double or sometimes triple of what they initially got into the home. So many families were making those payments, but once they sunset it, they just were just too high for them.
Assemblymember Chu.
Thank you. I want to first take a moment and thank the chairs for including this specific set of topics around alternative home ownership models. And I have a couple questions to our community land trust experts. This is a topic I've been very interested in for years. In San Francisco, about 5 years ago, I legislated our city's first community land trust. What I have seen is it seems like this model has stalled a little bit. And I'm wondering if you could talk about what have been some of the barriers to implementing or accelerating the CLT model. And you mentioned a number of state housing policies that you wish could be implemented. Do you have model legislation? Is this a topic of conversation among CLT advocates around the state? I'd be very happy to continue a conversation with you after this hearing, but just want to get a high-level sense of what you think needs to happen to accelerate adoption of community land trusts.
Thank you. We'd like to answer that, and I would like to ask our Executive Director, Mark Asturias, for specifics, because we are involved with the land trusts up and down the state of California, and we're committed to advocacy as a whole.
Thank you, Committee Member Chu. I agree that there's been a little bit of a stall. Part of that was because of the decline in the market and because the inventory was not seen as available that we could go in and acquire at a price that seemed affordable or at least reasonable to then acquire, rehabilitate, and then redevelop and put it into a position where it could be resold at an affordable price. Given that we had a loss of funding sources that we had been working with many communities across the state of California. Won't go into that, but as you know, housing resources in California, as far as state-controlled resources, seem to have diminished drastically after 2011. And we're still looking for that resource to be brought back because we can be good stewards of it, and we feel that we are a reasonable alternative as a progressive model, and many communities across California are working with land trusts to create and use that model, as you pointed out, even in your own city and county. The other areas that are of legislative intent, I think we would love to have a conversation that probably more in-depth than we could have right here today, so we'd be happy to meet with you and any members of the committee if you are interested in our thoughts and ideas. We do have a coalition, so we do have members in the California community of land trusts that are working together now. We are looking to create an advocacy position to come in and speak to the legislature about potential legislation going forward.
Great. I'm very interested in thinking about how to move this forward. And as you probably know, there is a Democratic affordable housing proposal to significantly increase, in the wake of redevelopment's demise, a number of resources available to build more affordable housing. I don't think it has involved a conversation around lower income home ownership models, and I think that the Community Land Trust really could exemplify that. So very interested in continuing that conversation. Thank you.
Assemblymember Brown.
I wanted to ask, if a person, the land trust, if a person sells their home, do they have any interest that's built in that they can take out of it to buy another place? You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
If it's all set, how do they move
Yes,
up?
well, very simply, the homeowner gets the appreciation of the home. The land trust keeps the appreciation of the land. And so it's an excellent step for a first-time home buyer because they're building up some equity in their home, but it's not the accelerated valuation that we've seen in markets such as ours. So it's a nice balance because that homeowner then will take the equity in their home and be able to buy another home plus land, after which then they can become homeowner landowners. But at this point, they're homeowners, and the land trust keeps the land for the community so that another homeowner can also get an opportunity to buy a home that's below market.
How is it different than a condominium project or condominiums?
I'll let you answer that.
The condominium project, typically you, as a homeowner, have an ownership interest in the entire project, not just your unit. So you own the space in your unit as well as you own a common interest in the association. In a land trust model, you own your home and you own the interest in your home, but you do not own the land. You have a leasehold interest in the land. So they're two separate legal entities.
Thank you.
Certainly.
If I could follow up on that question, it's my understanding in a land trust that where any property transaction where there's a property increase, generally the majority of the increase actually is going to be invested in the land, while a home becomes a depreciating asset, similar to purchasing a car. So how have you seen over the period of time where, because homes, after they've been constructed, you have to maintain them. After a certain period of time, there's a lot more maintenance that goes into them. It's not something that, appreciates as much as the land generally does because we just can't make more land. So in your situation, how have you come across people that have gone through multiple transfers of ownership where they've actually seen some sort of value retained in the product that they've purchased to be able to roll it into the next product that they would purchase?
The simple answer is that we initially priced the homes well below market in our particular community, and most land trusts do this as well, because they're trying to create an initial order of affordability. The home is priced well below the current market. Ours was priced at 50% of the current market. So we have a significant amount of subsidy in the unit that we as the land trust have invested permanently. What happens then is as the units in the area increase in value, the land trust home only increases in value based on increases in area median income. We use an indexed formula. So the homeowner does see appreciation. They have their mortgage reduction. Of course, they had a much smaller mortgage to begin with, so as the mortgage is repaid, they're seeing the equity that's coming just simply from the principal reduction. Then they're also seeing an equity percentage growth in the resale formula that we apply to the home. We also have in our mortgage product for the Community Land Trust a requirement that the percentage of their income be set aside to cover maintenance and ongoing improvements to the property. So at the end of the day, if they don't maintain it, we will go back in and look at the unit and figure out what reduction needs to be applied towards the value of the home. So it's an incentive to the homeowner to maintain it to gain the highest level of appreciation when they do sell.
And so if I could follow up then, so the land trust has a very direct relationship with the homeowner throughout the whole process, and then ultimately at the time when the homeowner chooses to move on to a different property, the land trust actually works towards establishing what the market value of that product would be.
We work with the homeowner. The homeowner is aware of the resale formula from the beginning, and yes, we do work with them at the time that they want to sell.
And the goal of land trust, of course, is to be able to maintain the property at a much lower than what the traditional market value would be for a similar type product where it includes the land, so that you then have an appreciation value built in for the next owner to be able to experience.
You hit it right on the head.
Thank you.
I also am interested in exploring the land trust model a little bit more because I think we want to find ways to make it more widespread. And I do have a couple of specific follow-up questions. And I think you mentioned that the land is actually owned by the community. And by community, do you include, let's say, government, private investors, and the like? And typically, what is the split? Let's say if that's the case, and if not, then what are some of the typical investors, for example, who invest into these trusts?
Traditional land trust models of board governance include roughly a third split across all the interest groups. So we have a third, that's the actual homeowner, one third, that's the community, representatives from the community, and one third from local governance agencies. So where a community has established a land trust, as ours has, we had a 5-member board at one point in time. It's expanding as we grow, but we had 2 members that were appointed by the city representing government. We had 2 members that were residents, and we had 2 members from the community that would come on board at certain periods of time. We've increased that to 7 so that we can allow for an extra governance member representing the community.
Now, when you actually have a sale transaction of these homes, in fact, do you renegotiate the ground lease, for example, the terms of the lease, for example, from 99 years? Because by the time somebody wants to sell the property or the home, the 99-year term may have expired, or clear, maybe halfway, expired. So, do you renegotiate these terms?
The ground leases are not assignable or assumable. So every time the home is sold, there is a brand new ground lease that is issued on the property.
Got it. Any other questions? Ms. Lopez, did you have a question?
Yes, I just want to know how we can contact with you in the future, and if it's the program is all the state or only specific areas.
Pretty much we've been working the program in the Central Valley, but we can expand it, or if there's another nonprofit that is working in your specific area, we can share the information with them. But definitely I can leave my card, and feel free to call me if you have any more questions.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no further questions or comments, I want to thank the panelists for joining us today, and I'd like to turn it over to my co-chair to introduce the next panel.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. And the final panel will be on solutions. The previous panels brought up a number of interesting questions and also proposed their own solutions, but we'll wrap up today with Selma Hepp, PhD, Senior Economist for California Association of Realtors, Lori Gay, President and CEO of Neighborhood Housing Services, Los Angeles County, Paul Leonard, California Director of Center for Responsible Lending. Thank you for being here. I will tell you ahead of time I am going to have to step out, and I'll turn over to Mr. Chow about halfway through for another commitment, but look forward to hearing. So, Ms. Hepp, why don't we start with you?